She said, is it not written in your law? I said, yeah, God. And here, Moses is called a God. So I says, you know what you have done? What you have done? You are playing fast and loose with this book. What you are doing now, when this word God is used for Moses, they put a small g. Me or my, any pronoun, they put a small m. Small h, him or his. When they refer to Jesus, capital H, his. Capital H, he. Capital M, my. If he was described as a God, they would have put a capital G. See, this is, they play fast and loose. You know, wherever it suits them. The other night, that young man, that another born again came along, he says, you know, an angel told Mary. I said, right. What is the Greek word there? Is angelos. Angelos means angel. But the disciples of John came to see Jesus. When they came to see Jesus, the word there in Greek is angelos. But you don't try and translate that as angels. You say disciples. Why do you do that? When the disciple of Jesus, when he's seen, you say angel. Because it's written, it says Greek is angelos. Okay. What about the disciples of John, Yahya alayhi salam? His disciples are also described in Greek as angelos. Why do you translate that as disciples? So it is a game that is being played. I said, look, where does he say I am God? Or where does he say worship me? So he said, you know, in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, verse 1. So what does it say? It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So I said, you know Greek? He said, yes. I said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. I said, what is the Greek word for with God? There. He's silent. He said he did 5 years Greek before he became a DD. So I said, what is the Greek word there for God? He's silent. I said, the Greek word is hotheos. Hotheos literally means the God. For which you Western nations, you have a system of translation. That when it is a proper noun, you put a capital letter. When it's a common noun, you put a small letter. So you have put a capital G for God. Right? That's your system. And the word was God. I said, what is the Greek word there for God? It's silent. I said, the word there is tontheos. Tontheos means a God. Why did you put another capital G there? A God should have a small g. No. A God. A godly person. That's what he's trying to say. It's a godly word. Why did you put a capital G there? He said, I didn't do that. I said, I know you didn't do that. But the vested interest that you represent, what are you doing? Then I said, in 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says the devil is the God of this world, shaitan. He is the God, meaning he is the ruler. Shaitan is ruling the lives of people. He said the devil is the God of this world. The Greek word is hotheos. Why do you give him a small g? Why don't you give him a capital G? Because he's the God. For Moses, why don't you give him a capital G? Why do you give him a small g? Because in Greek, there is no such thing as a capital G, no such thing as a small g. In Hebrew, no such thing as a capital G, no such thing as a small g. In Arabic, no such thing as a capital G and no such thing as a small g. See, this is the game that the guys are playing. What makes him God? He said, no, he is born without a father. He had no father, so he must have a father. You must give him a father. So his father is God. So Allah says, Inna masala Isa indallahi kamasali Adama. He says, most certainly the similitude, the example of Jesus in the sight of Allah is like that of Adam. Adam alayhi salam. خَلَقَهُ مِن تُرَابٍ. He created him from dust. ثُمَّ قَالَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. And he said, be, and he was. This is it. Jesus had no father. That makes God his father, and he becomes a veritable son of God, as God, because they say he is the begotten son of God, so the begotten son must be like the father. If the father is an Indian, the son is an Indian. The father is a Greek, the son is a Greek. The father is a Chinese, the son is a Chinese. It's natural. So if the father is God, then the son is God, begotten son. So Allah says, no. This is not so. In the Bible, he's got sons by the tons. You know, tons, you can put them in the scale. Tons of sons. Sounds exaggeration. But I give it to you, references. Luke, in the New Testament, chapter 3, verse 38. In the same, I think it's not the same verse. They know, it says, Adam, which was the son of God. It's written there. Adam, which was the son of God. Luke chapter 3, verse 38. Is he not the son of God? You ask them, in the Bible, that Nib Bible, he says, the one and only son, Jesus. I said, look, this one and only son you're talking about, Luke says, and Adam, the son of God. Same New Testament. How can you have one and only and you have Adam, the son of God? They had the word begotten there before. Jesus, the only begotten son. And we took exception to that. We says begetting is an animal act. It belongs to the lower animal functions of sex. How can you attribute such a quality to God, that God begot a son? How can God beget? He can create by his act of will. But he doesn't beget. He doesn't take his seed and plant it into other people's wives and daughters by artificial insemination or any other way. This is not his way. He creates by his act of will. So Adam, the son of God. It's not all. Genesis, the very first book of the Bible, chapter 6, verse 2 and 4. He said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them to wife all that they chose. And when the sons of God, sins van hot, when they came in unto the daughters of men and bore children to them, they became great men of old, men of renown. How many sons did he have? Sons, scions, plural. He had them by the tons, I'm telling you. Exodus, second book of the Bible, chapter 4, verse 2. Verse 22, sorry. Israel is my son, God says. This is the Jewish language, you see. Israel means Yaqub alayhi salam. Israel is my son, even my firstborn. He's even my firstborn. The same God in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 9, he says, for I, God, am a father to Israel, to the Jews. And Ephraim is my son, my firstborn. And Ephraim is my firstborn. I said, how can you have two firstborns? Israel is his firstborn, Ephraim is his firstborn. In the book of Psalms, God speaks to David, according to their book, according to their Bible. God says to Daud alayhi salam, I will declare a decree unto thee that thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. I brought you into being today. This day have I begotten thee. Thou art my son. How many sons has he got? He's got them by the tons in your book. But yet they have the audacity to say, one and only son, Jesus. I said, what are you reading? This book, in your book. How do you account? I don't know how you can talk to people like that. How can you talk to people like that? The book is written simple, basic language. You speak, I say, look, you say one, any other son? I say, no. I say, who is this? Adam is the son of God. Israel is the son of God. Ephraim is the son of God. David is the son of God. And further, in the New Testament, we are told, as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. Means every Tom, Dick and Harry, if you follow the will and plan of God, you are a godly person. In the language of the Jew, you are a son of God. It meant nothing more than that. It was a metaphorical statement. See? But they say, no, he was begotten. See, Adam was made by God. Jesus was begotten. I says, Paul gives a knockout to all this. Paul, the 13th self-appointed apostle of Jesus. He appointed himself. In the book of Hebrews, he wrote the book of Hebrews. Chapter 7, verses 1 and 3. It says, for this Melchizedek, Malik, Sadek, Saleh, Melchizedek, that's how it is. King of Salem, Salam. King of Salam, peace. King of Salem, priest of the Most High God, Melchizedek, without father. He says, without father, without mother, greater than Jesus. Jesus had a mother.